Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to a random tarot card reading that we're going to be doing for you. And when we do this, we're going to be letting the cards talk about whatever the cards want to talk about. I've already, quite frankly, done your full April reading on my TikTok, so I thought I would come over here and see if the cards want to talk about job, career, travel, love, whatever's happening in your life. We're also going to do it through the lens of Greek mythology. So we're going to talk about random Greek mythological characters here, and we're going to see about how their stories can be related to whatever it is that you're going through in your life. Let me just get one more card here. Also, by the way, if you hear my children in the background, they are hopped up on sugar from Easter. I am doing my best to settle them. In fact, me doing Easter holidays is why I wasn't able to get these readings up as quickly as I would hope, because I spent the weekend with my family, as many of you did. Happy Easter to everybody, by the way. Happy Easter Monday. Let's get into it. Your reading, my dears, has a very almost uncomfortable tone to it. There's a couple repeating concepts going on about loss in this reading. Here's loss, but also truth. Dionysus, your first energy here, is connected to stories of hard evidence and truth that comes to you, but it comes to you through the form of loss. Having lost something and just having to face it, right? So we've got loss in this card. Now, Orpheus, if you know the story of Orpheus, he went into the underworld. He had a very great loss, another story of great loss, but it was an irreversible loss. He went after his lover, Eurydice. She was taken to the underworld. As he traveled into the underworld, and as you travel into the underworld, there will be certain circumstances of loss that come across with this kind of a situation. By traveling into the underworld, I mean your negative things, whatever it is negatively that you're dealing with, the shadow side of whatever it is that you're dealing with. There are certain losses connected to that. So Orpheus goes into the underworld to get Eurydice, but as he's faced with Hades and Cerberus, the 3-headed or 50-headed dog in some traditions, he needs to persuade them to get what it is that he wants. And that's Eurydice. He wants to bring his love back. And they agree. Once he plays his musical instrument for them, they agree, but they say to him, if you want this one thing, if you want your wish to bring Eurydice out from the underworld, then you cannot look back at her. You must be fearless in this situation until you cross out of the threshold of the underworld. Once you get to the above world, I think it might have even been once the sun rises, once you get to the point of dawn in the story of Orpheus. He got all the way to the very end, the borderline, liminal, transitional state of getting out from the underworld. And in that last exact moment, he fumbled the situation and he looked back, and Eurydice turned to dust and was lost permanently. So this is the next card that talks about something that is lost permanently. And it is done so by a fumble, by a mistake. And so when we have the satyr, there's some mistake that could be made, or this feeling of being tricked into some kind of a situation, or perhaps just something that was done flippantly that may have caused this loss. 2 cards of loss, 1 card of mischievousness. Actually, Dionysus is connected to madness as well sometimes. And then we've got 2 additional cards of loss showing up. So I don't like having loss-worthy Pisces readings, but holy moly, there's like a massively repeating theme in this. In Greek tradition, Ouranos is the forefather, the father figure of the deities. It is his blood that spills that creates great giants and what's afterwards causing great wars. And he doesn't just cause things like the giants to form, which caused the Gigantomachy, which is the war of those gods versus the giants, but eventually his son usurps his power and replaces him. His blood is spilt. He takes an ultimate loss, and his son, Kronos, comes into power. He dominates the situation. In the end, Kronos also takes a loss because he gets usurped by his son, Zeus. He is in the reversal position. Kronos is the Saturnian energy of fear of loss. That's why this card specifically has the word loss on it. The amount of times that concept of loss has come up here is wild. Now, in the reversal position, because Cronus is like Saturnian energies connected to time, it feels like there is somebody who is gripping on the way that Orpheus had gripped on to Eurydice. It feels like someone is gripping on to control that they are going to have to face they will not have. I think that this is a harder reading, but it is a truth that will be faced via a loss. It is also what would be called a necessary evil that must occur because there's some kind of fated circumstance to this loss. Now, Momus, a way lesser known character, is at the heart of your reading, also deals with loss. But his specifics, much like Dionysus here, is truth that comes because of loss. So you will gain information that's going to occur because of a loss that's either already happened or a loss that you're going to face at some point in the future. This guy was obsessed with not loss. He was obsessed with truth. That's why he's the card of criticism and rumination and thinking about the same things over and over again. Now, when the gods created things, here was Momus to be a thorn in their side, consistently telling them what was wrong about things that they were doing and the hard truths about things that they were doing. As one of his most popular stories, Zeus creates humans, and Momus comes up and tells him, your humans kind of suck. Your humans should be built with a window on their heart, because humans, Momus expressed to the gods, humans had so many bad intentions, you would need a window to their heart just to see what their intentions were. That could be one of the emerging energies coming up in this reading, where you might blame somebody for something because maybe somebody did have some devious energy. Maybe somebody that you were dealing with did have more of that mischievous or trickster dynamic. They might have done something to get their way with you. And the loss that you're facing because of that person is a truth that you're going to have to face, the way that Momus had described the problems with humanity to Zeus. Now, Zeus and the rest of the gods didn't care much for Momus's criticisms in the end, so they kicked him off of Olympus. And that was the truth that he had to face, which means he faced what? A loss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight cards of loss, including a card that specifically has the word loss on it. And additionally dealing with the card of the satyr, which his mischievous energy pops up in other people's stories of loss. Actually, lesser known story as well, the satyr plays the pipe, like the flute, right? He's got his little it's a format of a flute. It's a specific name in his traditions, but he lost his lover through something he did, and she turned into a reed, the kind you would find out on the water banks, like think cattails, those kind of reeds. And so his lover, when his lover was lost, she did something to terrify the lover, by the way, because he was so mischievous. Something almost like Momus, there was something they did that was off-putting and other people reacted to it. His lover turned into a reed, and in order to stay close to his lover, he decided to turn that reed into his magical musical instrument, and that musical instrument stayed with him as almost like the Pied Piper vibe, being able to lure in and lead whatever he needed. I also think it's interesting that Orpheus plays a musical instrument and the satyr plays a musical instrument, and Dionysus here is about ecstasy and frivolousness. So there's, for some of you, there may be habits that you've had that were connected to frivolous things, mischievous things, and because of the music connection, for some of you it could have been partying. For others of you, the music concept is connected to vibration and frequency, that your vibration could have been on something more frivolous, not sturdy enough. So you might have made some kind of a mistake that you didn't mean to, like Orpheus, when he looks back, you might make some, or it could be in the future, that there might be a mistake that you make that you have to watch out for, because it could result in a loss that you will not be able to undo, the same way that Momus cannot undo going back to Olympus, the way that Orpheus cannot undo Eurydice, she's gone, and the way that Uranos and Kronos do not get their power back because the power goes to Zeus. There's a power change, essentially. Let me pull from a different deck here, because I would like to get some advice on this situation. Oh, my cards are actually half inside out. All right, let's see what's going on. What do we land on to get some advice? This is the Mysterious Crow. The cycle of life, observer of birth, life, death. Teach me creative and destructive magic. See, it's about truth through loss. Again, the cycle of life isn't just about living. It's about loss and being grateful for those things that you have while you go through the destructive avenues of certain cycles. This is one of the great mysteries. In Gnosticism or in Christian mysticism, and in fact, even in regular Christianity or Catholicism, there are certain aspects in different religions. It doesn't just have to be a Judeo-Christian concept, but certain religions have certain mysteries that one is initiated into. And I think it's pretty bar none that in each tradition, suffering is one of those mysteries. The overcoming of suffering that is ingrained in the human experience, that we can seemingly try our best to manifest our way out of, but there are things in this co-creative experience of life that when we co-create, we don't just get to take full reign and create anything we want permanently in our will only. We actually work within a co-creative dynamic, so sometimes that involves suffering. Because, I mean, there's enough of it in the world that if we had the ability to perfect perfect manifestation of peacefulness, nobody would know how suffering can make people, come out on the other side to be better people. So many aspects of suffering in the world have happened, and families, like as an example, the loss of a child, will go on and have a parent perhaps try to have another child, but they wouldn't get through these certain phases if they hadn't lost the first one. Now, I'm not saying that this is a reading about child loss. I'm just using a very hyperbolic example, one of the biggest and most heartfelt suffering, birth, life, death concepts that a person can go through, that sometimes when someone passes on, we have to learn through things through the suffering. But this is not just about life, death circumstances. But this is also death and transformation of us as a person in a situation that we're going through. Oh, we've got something sticking out here. What is it? The Cunning Fox. It's about discovering hidden talents of yourself. It's also about cleverness. It may be connected to needing cleverness to deal with these clever characters. Dionysus and Satyr are very clever. So if there is someone who's giving you, remember, that's why I said this reading wasn't about death in like a physical sense, but it was about sorrow and suffering and loss. And there was this trickster energy that was coming up where you might need to be cunning in the face of dealing with somebody. Actually, didn't you guys get this last time? I just remembered that. I know we're using completely different decks all of a sudden, but I'm pretty sure you guys had an energy in your previous reading for Pisces that was specifically about somebody who might do something underhanded. Let's pull one more here. The Courageous Lion. Again, we're talking about hidden powers within you. That's the second time we've got this. I feel like I want to pull one more even, because we're repeating the themes here. So there's a need for you to be courageous in the face of this loss, but there's also something within you that you're supposed to be pulling out. And with this much of the original Greek deck talking about loss, it didn't really get into the description of what that is. Oh, okay. Look at that. This is what it is within you. It's a working aspect. Work ethic, community, and drive. If you do what you need to balance out your finances or your life or that job that you want, then the trickery from other people or the lack of recognition from other people or other people's perspectives will shift. Or they won't be able to be mischievous because you're crossing all of your T's and dotting all of your I's with cleverness. So if you take a loss that is irreversible It doesn't have to be the only loss. You can go forward with your work ethic and your hardworking establishment in your community. This thing that you want is connected to how you handle other people in your community. Then, okay, you had some losses in the past, but going forward, you don't need to have any more losses or any more mischievous people running about, because you're on point and people can't take advantage of you because you're setting the right walls and boundaries and situations. And also, I just want to say the hardworking bee is about tapping into not just how to outsmart other people and cunningness, but this also puts you in a perspective or a situation in the future that has to do with that manifestation that I was teetering on about earlier on, about realizing your dreams and realizing what co-creative energy the universe is trying to work with you on. Fantastic. Okay, so ultimately in this reading, you are going to face some kind of a loss, or you already have. But going forward, if you deal with proper work ethic, continue that drive, focusing on yourself, especially in connection to lifestyle aspects, your work, your career, your education, there is some benefit coming for that. The universe is asking you to focus on that. There is a part of you that gets to shine from the realization of your dreams that will almost express themselves, generate themselves because of the hardworking energy you have. One visual that just came to my mind is like when somebody tries to work on some working aspect of themselves, like a job, a business, education, skill sets, building up their house, whatever it is. Sometimes when they're busy, like a busy bee, working on that avenue or building up the community around them, all of a sudden the right person comes in. All of a sudden the right networking comes in that helps them out, kind of soften the blow of any previous losses, or teaches them about another new avenue. Like imagine one day you're going to the grocery store, you're hardworking for your house, and you bump into a person at the grocery store, and this grocery store person and you hit it off so well, and that person's like, hey, have you ever thought about, working in sci-fi films or whatever? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes just by virtue of your hard working and establishment in the community, other things gravitate towards you that help you to realize your dreams more fully. When I was younger, I wanted to be a photographer. As I grew up, I didn't want to be a photographer, but the skills I learned in photography helped me out with the very videos that I'm making right now. One thing leads to the next, right? So that's the point here. Any losses in the past that have happened or will happen, they will happen as a part of the path that you're going through. Orpheus is the card of fated losses. That's why the card of fate is here. But there will be a necessary evil aspect that comes from this where you will gain, and it will propel you in terms of your community and your work life. I will leave you off with that, my dears. Thank you for joining me here. Happy Easter to all of you guys. And I'm going to be doing your May readings now that we have ventured into the month of April. I will start doing those on TikTok and probably over here on YouTube as well. Talk to you later, guys, and ciao for now.